What's even better than getting your fully homemade dune buggy running and driving? Immediately breaking it. Let's jump right in. Approximately a week ago today, I posted part 6 of this buggy series, and immediately after I got back to work on this thing, finishing up all the little loose ends and everything. I've hooked up a couple cables, I have a battery, I've gone through and welded everything that I possibly could without taking the whole thing apart because it takes a long time and I'm lazy and I don't want to do that right now. Just a whole bunch of little things that weren't interesting enough to put in a video but needed to get done. So now that all that's done, this thing should be ready for a first test drive. Everything is hooked up. I don't know if you guys remember in the last video I said sometimes the brakes just aren't there. Just straight up nothing. Just know I will fix the brakes. I'm not going to drive it with them like this. I'm going to drive it like that. I know it's a terrible idea. The brakes just don't work. Something needs to be fixed. It just doesn't work, and I've just accepted that it's a piece of garbage. Doesn't work. I'm going to just engine brake and downshift for now and just hope I don't run into anything. It'll be fine. I do actually have a kill switch, and that's just disconnecting the battery because the alternator on the engine's not hooked up, so if I disconnect power from the battery, the engine will kill itself. I've added a little bit of bracing here and there, just stuff to get it just strong enough to take it for a drive without it breaking. Throttle works, as you can see, clutch works, and brake doesn't. I have a Gatorade bottle, as per the usual, for my gas tank, and I think this thing is ready to try to drive it around and hope I don't die. Or hope that nobody else dies, because this thing is heavy. This thing turned out so heavy, in fact, that I'm worried about my axle bending, even though I have a bunch of bearings on there and stuff. I have 4 axle bearings, actually, in every place that I can think of that it might try to bend. So I really hope that the axle doesn't bend. But yeah, I think enough talking. Let's, I guess, try to drive this thing. To be completely honest, I don't even know if this thing still runs. Please don't be mad at me. I may have bent the axle. And by may, I mean... But it's okay, don't worry. It still works. I drove it home. It's all good. I didn't frick it up. It's bent a little bit, but it still works. You know, my logical conclusion was that it bent right at the wheel, like where the wheel attaches to the axle, bent right there, because that's where the high stress point is. But no, it actually didn't. It bent in between the sprocket and the outer support bearing, where there isn't any bearings. You know, coincidence? I think not. So basically, I'm gonna send it, but you know, when I decide, hey, maybe I should fix this, I'm just gonna take the axle out, put it in my pipe bender, bend it back, and then I'll put another support bearing right there, and then probably one on the other side with the brake for symmetry and, you know, make sure that side doesn't also bend. But it's a pretty minor bend. It's just when you're on the road now you feel a little bumpy, but off, like on grass or whatever, you can't tell, and it doesn't affect its performance at all. So I want to go drive it a little bit more and get some more footage of this so I can post this video. But the one thing I actually tried to prevent, like everything else is janky as heck, and like that didn't break. All the bolts that don't have lock nuts on the suspension and everything like that, oh no, that's all perfectly fine. But the one thing that I tried to prevent happened. On the bright side, everything else works. It drives. The suspension is great. Haven't impaled anyone on the GoPro stick on the front yet, but the steering radius is insane. Like I can turn the steering wheel probably half turn, which is not maxing out the steering rack yet. It's maxing out the pivot of the wheel, so I need to make it not quite as sensitive, but it turns on a dime. It's really tight, so that's pretty much perfect. I'm just waiting for some bolts to back out and fall out, and then this thing like crash straight into a tree, but that hasn't happened yet, so I say we keep driving it until it does. Oh yeah, then I blew it up. What?
Get out, it's on fire!
What? Oh gosh. Got it!
No, there's no more.
Run! I got it out! It's out!
Water will help though.
Yeah. That could, if it reached the gas tank, that would have been a real bad thing, but...
Content.
So yeah, the buggy's perfectly fine. After it lit on fire, I left it there at the field because I didn't feel comfortable driving it home yet. And after about 36 overnight checkups, because I have chronic anxiety and for some reason thought that somebody could steal a 900-pound dune buggy overnight, I went and got it the next day and filled it up with gas, hot wired it because it burned some of the wiring so it didn't run. But I just hot wired the ignition switch back together and it ran, so I drove it home, perfectly fine. Been sitting here. I was gonna go drive it again after I kind of got the fuel leak issue fixed, but then I discovered it's pouring gas out of carburetor number 3, which would totally explain why it lit on fire and why it was so hard to put out, because it was just dumping gas on top of the fire as it was burning. But we at least got to do a first test drive on this thing after over a year of work. I actually started this project just before Halloween of 2020, so it's been well over a year at this point. Unfortunately, for the next little while, this project's going to be kind of on the back burner because I've got a couple other projects I want to start and some other fun things coming up that don't involve this, so I will keep working on it. It'll be pretty slow. There won't be very many videos on it, but I'm going to keep working on it. And eventually we'll get back on this thing, finish it up, paint it. You're not gonna wanna miss that. I don't want to spoil what the next project is, but it's laying on the floor next to me right here. I've already started on it. It's gonna be pretty sick. You're definitely not gonna wanna miss that, so subscribe down below and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. It helps me get seen by more people. Now that I'm rebranded, in case y'all didn't recognize that it's me who changed the name, I actually have merchandise available at wildfoxfabrication.com. You can buy hats, stickers, hoodies, t-shirts, whatever you want. It's all on there. And by all, I mean it's all on there. Go take a look. For y'all early birds, you can use the discount code FOXBOY for 10% off all products on my website, as if the deals weren't already good enough. Anyone who buys merch now will be directly contributing to helping me start the next project. I know you guys are gonna really like what I have coming up for you, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell next to it so you're notified when I upload those videos. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time.